big admission of how India pummeled Pakistani air bases and the damage that it suffered. Shahbaz has publicly admitted that Indian forces preempted Islamabad's planned offensive in the intervening night of May 9th and 10th, when India launched the BrahMos missile to strike its key military bases, including at the Rawalpindi airport, proof of which has already been existing. We've seen the kind of satellite imagery that has shown the damage that has been done to all of these military installations in Pakistan, to all of the air bases, including the Noor Khan Air Base, one of the oldest Air Force installations for the Pakistani forces. All of which now, as the world sees the proof of, Pakistan forced to admit of what really the reality was.
9th and 10th night, we decided to respond in a measured fashion to Indian aggression, and we had decided that at 4:30 in the morning after Fajr prayers, Pakistan armed forces teach a lesson to our enemy. But before that hour reached, India again launched missile attacks, BrahMos.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ है। हमारे भारतीय हथियारों ने, ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल ने दुश्मन के घर में घुसकर तबाही मचाई। जहां टारगेट तय किया, वहां धमाके किए।
Now, the Prime Minister of India too confirming that the formidable BrahMos supersonic cruise missile as part of Operation Sindoor in retaliatory precision strikes on military air bases did the damage. While addressing a rally today in Kanpur, like you just heard, the Prime Minister highlighted how the BrahMos missile entered enemy territory and destroyed their defence assets. In fact, the Prime Minister over the last couple of days on multiple occasions has come out and said that at least on 3 different occasions, 2016, 2019 and now 2025, India has put Pakistan in its place militarily. हमने घर में घुस के मारा है is the clear admission that came to the fore from Prime Minister Modi, which perhaps explains why Pakistan has finally had to admit their losses in this entire fiasco. Shahbaz Sharif, in fact, that admission also throws light on the Pakistani army chief, also Field Marshal now, Asim Munir. He may have promoted himself a couple of days ago as a Field Marshal, but many would say he's only a failed Marshal. Sharif's statement adds to Munir's embarrassment because Shahbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, went on to say that we were ready and we wanted to give a measured response, but before we could do that, we were hit. Clearly meaning that Pakistani intelligence failed, that Pakistani air defenses failed, and Pakistan didn't know what hit them. He could give no credible response to India's airstrikes. That has been proven by his own Prime Minister. Asim Munir misjudged India's resolve to counter the Pahalgam strike. He also underestimated India's willingness to conduct deep penetration strikes inside Pakistan. India had made it clear, though, that if you mess with us, you will have to pay a heavy price. Pakistan thought they could get away by sheltering, harboring terror groups and terrorists who have been spilling blood on Indian soil for years together, but that is not the case. The answer that India has given this time around is for Pakistan to hear loud and clear for years to come. Now, even as we see the kind of comments that are coming to the fore from Pakistan, what does this mean and what after this? Is there going to be an Operation Sindoor 2.0? Because remember, the Prime Minister has also said that this is merely a pause, a halt in the operation, but our fight against terrorism will continue. So let's open that up. Lieutenant General S. Harimohan Iyer, former Chief of Staff of Northern Army Command, joins us here on this broadcast. Group Captain M.J. Vinod, former fighter pilot, is with us as well, and Captain Sarabjit Parmar, distinguished Fellow Counsel for Defence and Strategic Research. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here on this edition. Lieutenant General Iyer, I want to begin by asking you, finally, Pakistan sees the writing on the wall. This is something that India has been claiming since the day of Operation Sindoor. The world has seen the proof of it. There have been satellite imagery. There has been proof that India, ourselves, we've put out to the world to see. How do you read what Shahbaz Sharif has now said, that A, that BrahMos missiles inflicted the kind of damage that they did on Pakistani air bases, and that Asim Munir, the Pakistani chief, now a field marshal, was caught completely unawares?
Poonam, thank you for having me on your show, and good evening to you and your fellow panelists. Firstly, I'm surprised, there are world renowned journalists who attended so many of these DG-ISPR briefings, but not a single of them could ask the Pakistani generals as to why they were not able to put a single aircraft in the air on the night of 9th 10th, much as they were trying to showcase 42 odd aircrafts in various packages flying all over on the night of 6th 7th. The basic genuinity is Pakistan's air defense was totally demolished by us on the night of 7th and 8th. Thereafter, as I look at it, Pakistan was living in a situation when they didn't have a roof on their heads. India could hit them anywhere, anytime, from any direction, and they realized it possibly once the BrahMos started landing on their various air bases well in depth. And that is something is possibly the reason why the DGMO decided to call it quits. But they wanted to showcase something, and therefore you saw that little snippets of a couple of videos, emerging, showing firing of some missiles, and that too I believe they fired accidentally more than one missile, and those missiles were also taken out. And the end result was that whenever the DGISPR did his briefings, he could not substantiate any of the strikes which he and his armed forces claimed to have executed. They were not in a position to have any kind of operations being done on the night of 9th, 10th and beyond. And they were literally on their knees. And it is our large-heartedness that we decided to accept the pause in Operational Sindoor. And I would also like to say there is no need for any Operation Sindoor 2.0. Operation Sindoor is still on, and Operation Sindoor is our operation against terror. And as long as Pakistan continues to propagate terror into India, Operation Sindoor, in my mind, will continue, and I'm sure we will revisit those similar targets that we visited on the 6th, 7th night once again.
Absolutely. And speaking of how their defense systems completely collapsed, China has responded, MJ Vinod, also on that. China has gone on to say that, yes, we gave all kind of manpower to them, we gave our defense systems to them, but the performance was below average. So even as Turkey and China rushed to Pakistan's rescue, they're all admitting that their systems failed Pakistan, and if Pakistan tries any misadventure in the future, perhaps the same fate awaits them.
Absolutely. In fact, when as it was unfolding, I was with on your channel with Anand. We were live tracking things that were coming from Turkey on a cargo aeroplane and landing up on the shores of both Karachi as well as Islamabad. The fact of the matter is, Poonam, is whatever failed against India is not only the failure of Pakistan alone. It is a massive failure for China, which is absolutely visible in the way the stock market of that particular company is crashing, and a big failure of Turkish drones. We have had the opportunity of looking at it. I have had the opportunity of looking at it. Since we make drones, it is one of the very, not only low cost, it's low quality drone that Turkey has supplied to Pakistan. I don't know at what cost. That's one. But what we need to also understand is at some point in time, I'm talking about early 90s to maybe mid 90s to late 90s, Pakistan, or maybe even the early part of 2000, Pakistan had very good air defense. I mean, we as professionals acknowledge the strength of their air defense because they have their organizational strength, which was separating the country or dividing the country into various air defense zones. The entire air defense coming under one air defense command, and them having the air defense network, and also they have, which people have missed talking about, called a system called Vera E. A Vera E is a passive system which picks up electronic signatures from India and localizes them and identifies them. So these kind of systems Pakistan had well before India had them. So their air defense system was good. But at some point in time, I mean, it's like if you don't keep up with technology and maintain it, it will become what it has become. You know, we understood their strength and we worked towards beating those kind of strength that they had in since Munir, or probably even one or two chiefs before, from Kayani onwards, probably it went into kind of a not really disuse. I don't think they paid enough attention towards having a very strong air defense, which in the 90s probably they envisaged. That came, I think, as an Achilles heels for them and bit them very, very bad. An amount of money that they get, khairat mein jitna bhi unko milta hai, Poonam, whatever little money they got, they did not pay attention to improving and maintaining their existing air defense system, which, as a payer, they had to pay probably dearly. Most of the money, as we take out CIPRI reports and others, most of the money that was used in the Pakistan armed forces, which they started saying it correctly now. If you notice in this speech, he stressed on the word armed. Otherwise, they were saying something else, which I don't want to say it on the news channel. So they started giving it to army. The army could be, especially Pakistan army, is heavily dependent on probably small arms and medium arms. But Air Force is a technical force which got very little attention. And I'm sure, Marshal Sidhu kept crying till cows come home to give him money. I don't think he got any. Result, Poonam, 11 air bases in 22 minutes. I think it is. I was just looking at, I'm a military historian. So I was just looking at in the history of air warfare since probably, Italian times in 1920s to now. Poonam, it has never happened that 11 major air bases in 22 minutes has been hit. In itself is I'm not, because I'm Indian, I'm saying this, in itself is a very big world record.
Absolutely, and perhaps that is why we're seeing Pakistan and its army generals, its prime minister publicly admit to their losses, because there is no denying it. Lieutenant General Iyer, you had a point to make before I get in Captain Parmar.
I just want to add to Commodore Vinod's point. We were always, when we were young in service, we were always told Pakistan's air defense is tight, and it is going to be a humongous effort for Indian Army to attain a degree of what we call favorable air support, which means a little corridor where we can, penetrate through. It was something which was, drained into us, that, you have to work really hard to put down the air defense, because even the aircrafts were all designed to take on to the air defense role. They were not very much into the offensive roles. Even the F-16s which they got, they were designed into or fit into the manner to have, a tight air defense which we could not see. And the way it has collapsed, and I just want to add one more issue to what Vinod said. I believe Sidhu takes away a lot of money. So I guess whatever money went towards the Air Force possibly went towards DHA colonies and other things which has been, talked about. You see so much of noise coming about how corrupt this gentleman is. So who knows?
And a lot of money that Pakistan would have had for their defense outflow perhaps was spent in securing many of these terrorists, because all of these terror epicenters, many of which we hit during this strike, are all fortified like their army installations. But Captain Parmar, before I get you in, I want to also shed light on another aspect, and that's exactly what we want to talk to our viewers about, of how there is complete free run for terrorists in Pakistan. Lashkar-e-Toiba commander, the plotter of the Pahalgam attack, Saifullah Khalid, was seen at a public rally in Pakistan's Punjab. He was spewing venom against India, against Hindus especially. Of course, that comes as a no surprise. Neither does a free run to terrorists like him. This comes after Hafiz Saeed's son, Tala Saeed, Saifullah Khalid, was seen spreading hate speech against India. Top intelligence sources here in India believe that Khalid's speech at this event is a blueprint for destabilization in the region. Militarily, they've lost out. The Pakistani army is completely at a loss of face, which is why they've reactivated or activated these kind of terror elements to do their bidding now. Sources indicate that by leveraging Lashkar-e-Toiba's state-sponsored infrastructure and the presence of Tala Saeed, Khalid aims to exploit the political gaps in Bangladesh now to try and open up a new front. We're already seeing the kind of trouble that we face with Pakistan and Pakistan pushing terror on our western frontier. Now, terror groups and terrorists like this particular individual want to try and foment trouble on the eastern frontier of India as well and create this new jihadist front. He was openly heard mocking the United States in a rally. The United States, remember, has been trying to draw a fair equivalence between India and Pakistan, claiming that both sides wanted ceasefire. The unfortunate bit is that the Trump administration has been putting the victim and the perpetrator on the same page. But that's something that India has taken high objection to. Saifullah Khalid portrayed Bangladesh as a land of oppressed Muslims. He's calling for jihad against Hindus. And we've already seen the kind of hate attacks, the kind of suppression of minorities that we've seen in the last 1 year against Hindus in Bangladesh under the Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus's administration. This particular speech is a significant threat to Bangladesh as well. Of course, that does put India right in the midst of all of this. We're given to understand that there is a hospital in Pakistan. There's terror infrastructure that is in Pakistan's Punjab, which is being used to recruit Bangladeshi youth to try and exploit their socio-economic grievances and create this sort of jihadist front that he does. But India is not going to take this lying down. In fact, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today sent out a very stern message. He was on board INS Vikrant. He said that Pakistan has been asked to hand over terror masters like Hafiz Saeed, like Masood Azhar, under whose tutelage we've seen this kind of terror being spread into India, and the complete support that the administration in Pakistan, the army in Pakistan, gives to individuals like them.
पाकिस्तान के हक में यही बात होगी कि वह अपनी जमीन पर चल रही आतंकवाद की नर्सरी को अपने हाथों से उखाड़ देंगे। इसकी शुरुआत उसे हाफिज सईद और मसूद अजहर जैसे आतंकवादियों को भारत के हाथों में सौंपने से करनी चाहिए। यह दोनों न केवल भारत में मोस्ट वांटेड टेररिस्ट की सूची में हैं, बल्कि ये यूनाइटेड नेशंस की डेजिग्नेटेड टेररिस्ट की लिस्ट में भी शामिल हैं। अगर पाकिस्तान बातचीत को लेकर गंभीर है तो उसे हाफिज सईद और मसूद अजहर जैसे आतंकवादियों को भारत को सुपुर्द करना चाहिए ताकि उनके साथ भी इंसाफ किया जा सके।
Captain Parmar, it's no surprise that we see this kind of free run to terrorists, that they openly hold these rallies and try and instigate people against India, against Hindus. It's no surprise that there are armed men, ISI agents, Pakistani army agents that are flanking them as well. But is it not now time for organizations like the IMF, on whose doles Pakistan is surviving, to see what the Pakistan actually stands for, that the non-state and state actors line is quite a blur there?
I agree with you, Poonam, and thank you for this opportunity. But I'd like to go back one step what Group Captain Vinod said about history. 22 minutes, we did a blitzkrieg, and do remember blitzkrieg is something that aided the Germans during World War II when they started out their mission. And of course, the second day attack was another blitzkrieg. And that's a message that has gone across. But getting back to your question here, that it's very clear that Pakistan is complicit, and there's the term being used of snakes in your backyard by the US establishment and academia quite some time back. This is the opportunity for us to push the agenda and try to get Pakistan on the most wanted list everywhere, whether it is financial institutions, establishments, or even in, multinational organizations, and keep putting the pressure on them till the time they crack. And it's for everybody in the world to see. I mean, if you had Laden, who was there in Abbottabad, right under the nose of the Pakistan military, that should be enough for the US also to take action. But we need to keep pushing this. And I think it's only fair that the IMF has also said that the money which has been given to you, there are certain strictures which have been passed. And now it is for India to keep monitoring the manner in which that IMF loan is being dispersed and bring to the notice of the IMF that, listen, this is not correct the way it's being done. And therefore, hit them economically, keep the pressure on, keep the military pressure on. And you showed the clip of the defense minister there, and he also very clearly in that same speech of his said that next time round the Indian Navy will be brought including. So you can imagine the pressure that is going to come on Pakistan with military strikes across the land border by air and by land, and of course along the whole Makran coast by sea and air. That pressure is going to be tremendous, and I think they are aware of that, and that's why they have taken a step back right now. And what they want is a little relief period where they will definitely build up, and then of course notwithstanding, and I don't think we've seen the last of the terror attacks, and therefore the next time when we hit them, we have to hit them hard the first time. And I think it's time that when we look at the manner in which, I mean, if you're going to look at a policy that any act of terrorism is an act of war, then from day one, the military forces should be out on just firing on all cylinders and take out the necessary military target or strategic targets and make Pakistan crack. That's something I think that should be done. I'm sure it's being planned, obviously.
Sure, and of course, like you pointed out, that if any future act of terror is going to be considered as an act of war, and accordingly militarily action is going to be taken. But Captain Parmar, speaking of how else India can choke Pakistan, like we were talking about the economy, that's something that has to be choked because that is the biggest sore point. The people of Pakistan are going to be the ones suffering here. The IMF, if they do eventually bail actually walk out on the bailout that they've given, that's going to be something that is important. Can India actually keep up pressure on organizations like the IMF? The FATF is also going to be meeting sometime later this month. That's again something that India should put pressure on, put Pakistan back on the grey list, at least if not the blacklist.
So that's true. So that's what I mentioned, that the pressure must be kept on all organizations. We must go at it at hammer and tongs and don't just let it give no respite to anybody to think. And then, of course, I think the idea of sending out members of parliament to various countries to put out India's viewpoint, in conflict or in war, the first thing that is done is the truth is locked up. And misinformation itself becomes a weapon, in a way, or a non-violent weapon, but it does a lot of damage. And I think there are some areas from where it is said that Pakistan had gained the advantage initially, but I think it was hurried and rushed because there's no proof they can provide. But now that we are coming slowly out and you see the writings that are coming about that are supporting India's stance and of course the strategic and military victories that we have achieved, I think we keep this pressure on, keep the narrative going, and we just keep it on the boil. Just to remind you, yesterday we were supposed to have civil defense exercises along the border in 3 or 4 states.
Yes.
I think that rattled Pakistan because they expected that we would be doing something again.
Because the last time a mock drill was announced, it was anything but a mock one at that. So perhaps that definitely did rattle Pakistan. But Lieutenant General Iyer, as far as the next step after Operation Sindoor is concerned, the Prime Minister, the Defence Minister, all of them on multiple occasions have said that this is merely a pause, that this fight will continue. What, in your opinion, would that mean when we say that this Operation Sindoor is not over? What do you think that entails from here on?
So I said that in the beginning also. When I look at Operation Sindoor, it is not against Pakistan, but it is against the terror that is emanating from Pakistan. And till such time, these jokers that you are putting on the screen in Pakistan keep, showing themselves, Operation Sindoor will be live and Operation Sindoor will continue to get the fuel that it needs. Nothing stops India from revisiting what we did on 6th, 7th night, and Pakistan now knows that we need not have to, go just following a terror attack. We have said that the operation has been paused. If they start or if they keep continuing, poking us with these kind of people coming in front along with their army making such statements, nothing stops us from revisiting these targets once again. And that will give us much more reasoning to say that we are preempting those kind of things which are going to create damage to people and the society within India. It is well within our rights to, stop terror from entering India and take it out before it manifests. And I am very happy to see these people coming up, and it shows the kind of, thing these people are in. They are all in a shape of total disarray. They are expressing things which were not done over these years when they were, keeping the terror tab going. We have been, I've seen what happens with so much of service in Northern Command and Jammu and Kashmir. I have never seen this kind of, people coming out and making statements like the one which was made yesterday, which is being shown on the screen right now, these are very, very much enough reasons to continue Operation Sindoor, and the world body should know, and this should also be conveyed to the world body that look, if you don't put these people to heel, if you don't bring normalcy to this region by forcing Pakistan to take action against them, then nothing stops India from carrying on what we did on the night of 6th and 7th, and possibly
and the more free hand or free run that we see to terrorists like these, it only bolsters India's stance. When we do take the fight to the FATF from here on, this is only going to help us. Perhaps Pakistan not realizing the risks of them openly doing this, but they will have to pay a price of pushing terror for decades together. And this is not the time that India is going to be taking it lying down. This is the time that there is going to be a new normal that we see on that frontier of ours. I have to leave it there. I thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here on this edition and sharing your perspective. Speaking of Operation Sindoor and the terror attack in Pahalgam that prompted Operation Sindoor, today Prime Minister Modi was in Uttar Pradesh's Kanpur, where he met the family members of one of the victims, Shubham Dwivedi. Dwivedi was just 31 years old. He was among the 26 people that were killed in the Pahalgam attack on the 22nd of April. He was newly married. He was with his wife in Kashmir on that trip when he was segregated based on his gender and then on his religion and killed in cold blood. Prime Minister Modi has taken to social media where he's just spoken of his meeting with the family members of Shubham Dwivedi. He says, I met with the family of Shubham Dwivedi, who lost his life in the cowardly terror attack in Pahalgam. They expressed their gratitude to our mighty army for Operation Sindoor. The spirit is going to inspire the countrymen. He also did tell the family of Shubham Dwivedi that this is not the last time that they are going to be meeting him, that he will meet them again and he will stand with them like any elder of their own family. While speaking to CNN News 18, Shubham Dwivedi's family said that the Prime Minister offered all sort of assistance and support to the family, also reaffirming that India's fight against terror will continue.
हम लोगों से बहुत दुखी थे, इस घटना से ही बहुत दुखी थे। हमने उनसे मिलते ही सबसे पहले बोला कि थैंक यू, आप जो आप कर रहे हैं इसे पूरा आतंकवाद के खिलाफ। तो उसमें उन्होंने बोला कि ये अभी शुरुआत है, हम और भी बहुत करेंगे। इसके अलावा उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा दुखी थे हम सबसे, पूरे पापा से, मम्मी से, मुझसे, हम तीनों से ही उन्होंने बोला कि आप लोगों ने जो खोया है वो बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है और मैं सिर्फ आप लोगों का दुख बांट सकता हूँ। उन्होंने खुद बोला कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हमारी लड़ाई अभी भी जारी है और वो चलती रहेगी। वो खुद भी बहुत दुखी थे, मतलब उनके चेहरे से, उनके हाव भाव से समझ में आ रहा था। उन्होंने पापा के पास जाके उनके ऊपर कंधे पे हाथ रख के बोला कि हम आप, पूरा देश आपके साथ खड़ा है। वो बहुत दुखी थे वो इस घटना से।
जिस तरह 22 अप्रैल की घटना के बाद माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आतंकवाद पे करारा प्रहार किया है, पाकिस्तान के आतंकवादी अड्डों को नष्ट करने के लिए सेना को खुली छूट दी है, उसके लिए हमने प्रधानमंत्री का अपना और परिवार सहित सभी की तरफ से आभार व्यक्त किया और प्रधानमंत्री को भरोसा दिलाया कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ कार्रवाई में मेरा परिवार, मैंने ज़रूर अपना इकलौता पुत्र खोया है, लेकिन जिस तरह आपने कार्रवाई की है निश्चित तौर पे हम लोगों को कहीं ना कहीं राहत मिली है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इस घटना पे हम लोगों के साथ गहरी संवेदना व्यक्त की और कहा कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ जो लड़ाई है वो अभी जारी रहेगी और हम आतंकवाद का समूल विनाश करेंगे। जी हाँ, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बात की और मुझे बहुत गौरव की अनुभूति हो रही है कि हमारे देश के ऐसे प्रधानमंत्री हैं जो देश की जनता का इतना ख्याल रखते हैं और जो घटना हुई है उस घटना को लेकर उनको गहरा दुख है और निश्चित तौर पे उनमें वो ऊर्जा है, वो जोश है कि वो आतंकवाद का सफाया करेंगे।
Moving on now to the big story that we're tracking here on the right stand coming in from the south of India, and it is Kannada versus Tamil or Kannadigas versus Kamal Haasan debate that has been triggered. And the megastar has stated that he's not going to apologise and he will only do so if he feels he is wrong. He claims he said nothing wrong when he made that comment 2 days ago where he said that Kannada was born out of Tamil. He further urged others to not tamper with his lifestyle. Remember, on the 27th of May, the actor created a firestorm while he was publicising his upcoming flick, which is Thug Life. He mentioned that Kannada was born out of Tamil. That happened at a public event. The next day, he issued a clarification. He said he won't apologise. And today, he's reiterated that stance. The actor says, I will not apologise because I know I am not wrong. This, even as from within several quarters in Karnataka, within the Cine Association in Karnataka, the state government in Karnataka coming out and threatening a ban on his film.
இது அந்த ஊரில் இருக்கும் என் குடும்பம், அதனால தான் அவர் இங்கே வந்திருக்காரு. அதனால தான் நான் பேச்சை ஆரம்பிக்கும் பொழுது நான் உயிரே உறவே தமிழே என்று ஆரம்பித்தேன். அதில் தமிழிலிருந்து பிறந்தது தான் உங்கள் பாஷையும், அதனால் நீங்களும் அதில் உட்படுவீர்கள்.
See, they are confusing the issue. I think what I said was said out of love and with a lot of historians who taught me language history, and that I didn't mean anything. And let me tell you, Tamil Nadu is a place which has been open. I don't say that there's no other state like that, but very rare state where a Menon has been our chief minister. If you look at it from the northern point of view, yes, what they say according to them is right. If you look at it from Ten Kumari, they must decide where they want to belong, with their family or the languages that came from the north.
I've been threatened before, and if I am wrong, I will apologize. If I'm not, I won't. It's my lifestyle. Please don't tamper with that.
Let's open this up. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda, spokesperson of Karnataka BJP, is with us. S. Harish Mohammad Ibrahim, political analyst who supports the DMK and the India bloc, is with us as well. And actress Sanjana Galrani is with us. Let me begin by asking you, Mr. Ibrahim, the kind of stance that we've seen taken by Kamal Haasan. He says, I'm not going to apologize because I have said nothing wrong. If it was something wrong, I would have happily done so. Do you think this is because there is a politician, Kamal Haasan, that also is answerable now and not just an actor?
No, even when he was an actor, when his film Vishwaruvam got into trouble, he made sure to fight against Madam Jayalalitha heads on. And he went to the court, even he was expecting her apology, etc. But he never backed down. And even in this matter of the fact, it is a statement which is made out of pure love when Shivraj Kumar was attending the function. So I don't know why the people in Karnataka to have to make an issue out of nowhere. And number two, if you go ahead with the archaeological facts, even if you go ahead with the historical facts, Tamil, which has a literature which is dating back to 500 BC, where you have the Kannada literature starting only with 450 CE, which means that even before 950 years, you have the historical data which shows that the Tamil is a predominant language. It's a classical language which has a rich history.
No, I don't.
So
agree
even
with
if you go
this.
ahead,
You have no right.
One second.
You have no right
Miss
to say that.
Miss Galrani, I'll come to you. Miss Galrani, I'll come to you. Sanjana Galrani, I'll come to you. Let's not speak over each other, please. Let's let everybody have their time to make their point. But Mr. Ibrahim, nobody is denying the history of either of these languages. Sure, Tamil is a classical language. No one is saying that and Kannada have any competition, but that's the point. Why is there a competition? Why say that this was born out of A or B was born out of C?
Exactly.
And why make that comparison at all, especially if there are no facts to back it?
Exactly, because you are cutting only that particular step. Madam,
Mr. Ibrahim, go ahead.
Let me speak.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you have to cut, the entire media has cut down the exact part where you can make a mole out of mountain.
We haven't made it, sir. We haven't made it at all.
1 second.
I don't know why the messenger is being short here, but please go ahead.
No, 1 second. So the back end of 1 minute and the left, after this stand, the extra 1 minute shows the clear picture. He is saying out of pure love to the language of Kannada and the people of Kannada. But a people perspective doesn't have any hatred towards Kamal Haasan. And Kamal Haasan is known for his universal acting. He acted in Kannada language more, in Malayalam and Telugu. We are not backing him, whatever. If the statement is wrong, we can go ahead and oppose him. But it is a pure out of brotherly statement which is getting an offensive kind of treatment in the place
Sanjana
of Karnataka.
Galrani then is the actor just misunderstood?
Which is not needed at all.
Sure. Sanjana Galrani then is the actor just misunderstood. He was saying it purely out of love, which is why now he says that I will not apologize.
Firstly, some sensitive things should not be touched upon at all, because this gets into a very provocative conversation. Why provoke this comparison? Why have this comparison at all? Like, I myself am a great fan of Kamal Haasan, sir. But why do you have the necessity of coming and saying that one language is born out of the other language? Like the gentleman right now on the panel told, this language is more predominant, that language is more predominant. So it's like you're comparing a mother tongue of one person and the mother tongue of another person. The very word mother tongue itself means it has the word mother in it. Everyone is very possessive about their own mother tongue. And everyone thinks that my mother tongue is the most superior in the world. So be it. So respect it. Why should you go and say your language is more predominant, it's come out of my language? And why do you have to provoke the person? It is so unnecessary. And what happens is different people look at the conversation in different dimensions. Somebody looks at it as a brotherly conversation, somebody fatherly, somebody looks at it as a derogative conversation, somebody looks at it as if you're talking less about one language and more about another language. Why should you even have this conversation? You're promoting your film, great, you worked so hard on your film, you focus on that. Why do you want to even get into a sensitive conversation like this? Is the biggest question of all we Kannadigas. Because see, now he's the panelist is telling that Tamil is more predominant. I will not agree. Definitely I will not agree. I will agree that the only and only dominant language and the oldest language on the planet is Kannada, because I am a Kannadiga. Nanu Kannadati, nanige Kannada ne nanna tai. Kannada is my mother and Kannada is my father and Kannada is my life. That is how I will look at it, and I will stand by Kannada. I am a Bangalorean. I bleed Bangalore. I bleed Kannada. I bleed Karnataka. This is my whole stand on it. And it's completely unacceptable. Will you
and everyone is entitled to have their opinion.
Will you tolerate if anyone compares your mother to anyone else's mother? Will you tolerate? However old your mother is or whoever came out of whom, if your mother is compared to someone else's mother, will you tolerate? You will be like, please keep it to yourself. However old or rich your mother is, my mother is the greatest. So that is how much love we have for Kannada and Karnataka.
Sure. So, Mr. Ibrahim, as far as the comments are concerned, it may be read differently by... It may be read differently in different states. It may be read differently in Karnataka and may be read differently in Tamil Nadu. I'm sure the people in Tamil Nadu are rejoicing at what Mr. Kamal Haasan has said, which brings me to the question that I asked you and you didn't answer. He is a politician now. He is going to the Rajya Sabha, backed by the DMK.
Of course.
For him, there is more than just his film to defend now when he talks about Tamil in a greater sense than for Kannada.
No, we are taking into the extra offensive line here, even before the panelists spoke in another way. But what Mr. Kamal Haasan, the core essence of Mr. Kamal Haasan's speech is the brotherlyhood, where the Dravidian ideology, madam, before she doesn't aware of Dravidian ideology, I believe so, the Dravidian linguistic...
I'm very much aware, sir. I've read it in history.
Madam,
please,
have some
I'm very
civility.
educated.
Please, ma'am. I never interrupted you. I listened to you patiently.
Yeah, but if you're talking about me being unknown about a subject, I cannot sit quiet, right? When I'm aware of what is Dravidian community, I'm very well aware. So please don't make
whether
a claim
Kannada is a part of it, whether Kannada is part of Dravidian ideology, whether Kannada is a part of the Dravidian forum, no.
That is your
saying that
thought
it is not.
process. Where is the evidence? Do you have a document backing it?
Do
you have a document backing it right now?
Madam, if you are going to talk...
No, that is your imagination.
Okay, ma'am, you finish and let me know, so I will speak. You finish it first.
And we are not here to agree to your imaginations.
Okay, you don't have to agree. Ma'am, you don't have to agree. I don't agree with you.
Okay, Ms. Galrani, just a second. Yeah, Mr. Ibrahim, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Dravidian forum has 4 different Kannada, Malayalam, Telugu and Tamil. This is what meant by Mr. Kamal Haasan. We are coming from a single ideological framework where you are coming from a same mother is what the essence of his speech. But whether the problem is the BJP in Kannada took an issue out of nowhere and they want to make a huge issue out of that.
But it would come as a surprise to you, sir. The BJP hasn't taken offense to it. The Karnataka government, which is the Congress, which is one of the DMK's allies, seems to have taken objection because the Karnataka minister has come out and said we will seek a ban on the film because this is not acceptable to us. So I don't know whether BJP comes into the entire picture.
I clearly stated in my first round,
absolutely,
taking an archaeological, historical and the linguistic history. If you want to go by that line, even what Kamal Haasan said is right. If you want to go ahead with the passionate hero to promote his film on the Kannada language, on a brotherly sense, if you take it, even he is right. I don't know where the Kannada people, I don't see any repercussions or any kind of retreat from the Kannada people at large. Only the politicians who want to make an issue out of this.
No, there were protests that came to the fore. There were protests that came to the fore from organization like the Rakshana Vedike as well. Pro-Kannada groups have taken objection to what's being said. But Lakshmi Gowda, let me get you in as well. There may be difference of opinions over certain comments that have been made by any individual, an actor in this particular case. But does that also give license to call for a ban? Many would then say that there is absolutely no free speech here.
Madam, the issues of the land, language and water are the most sensitive issues that these celebrities should be aware of it before they speak about it. The parochial mindset of Mr. Kamal Haasan ji has been either totally an ignorant mindset or a egoistic, pathetic mindset that his upcoming movie Thug Life tells you, right? That is a thug kind of mindset it is. These celebrities are widely accepted across the masses, surpassing the borders and barriers. So they should gain, as they age, they should gain tremendous amount of unbiased knowledge, tremendous amount of prowess, tremendous amount of wisdom to speak in a tone and tenor that is totally acceptable to the masses. And there is only resonation of positivity amongst the masses. In contrast to that, any attempt to speak in a tone and tenor, any attempt to speak in a instant impulsiveness and in a farcical manner, that too about a totally sensitive matters like land, language and water, will only have a wider ramifications amongst the masses, from the masses. It will only have a wider lambast, it will only have a wider disparage from the masses, and that is totally unacceptable. That is totally unacceptable. So being a celebrity, he should have been aware of it. As a ages, he should gracefully age. He should maintain the utmost public decorum while he addresses the gather, because so many followers will be watching him. So that will definitely resonate amongst the masses. So it is totally unacceptable.
So Sanjana Kalrani, let me ask you this, because you're an artist yourself. If somebody were to call for a ban on any of your films or any of your work because of a certain comment that you would make, would that not outrage you or the team that has worked with you on it?
See, I'm first a film actor. I've worked in both Kannada and Telugu films. I've worked in 55 films in my life. And I feel very bad that a small thing has gone all the way so far that it's going to maybe affect the producer or the director of the film, and they're going to have really big losses because Karnataka is such a big state with 7 crore people. And this is completely uncalled for. Kare koi bhare koi, like somebody talks about it and the particular fines and penalties and the losses are bared by the producers or the directors. So you feel really bad, and I am myself a Kamal Haasan sir fan. It's so unnecessary for him to get into any kind of a controversy like this. Being a demigod himself, you know,
We'll try and reconnect that line with Sanjana Kalrani. I believe there is some audio issue. We'll try and fix that. But Mr. Ibrahim, it's just a simple apology, and that would put an end to the debate between two states. It's not even the North versus South anymore. It's the South versus South, seems like. It's a simple apology. Why can't the actor just go ahead and from the greatness of his heart, like you've been saying, like out of brotherly love, just apologize?
No, what is that to apologize? That is what the core essence is all about. Calling someone elder, calling someone as younger. So should someone go ahead and apologize for doing that? So no, not at all. Why is that? Why you have to make sure of people to go ahead and put their all kind of oppression in any form? Mr. Kamal Haasan won't back down. That is what I have stated in our first round. Even when Madam Jayalalitha wants as an apology, he went through the legal means to fight for his film.
But there the fight was against a particular individual in power.
No,
here it's about an entire community, about people belonging to an entire state.
You have to learn the facts right, because it is not about Madam Jayalalitha. It was entire about Vishwarupam, which is standing against the Muslim community of the entire state. Even Madam Jayalalitha want to appease the Muslim community. She want to go ahead and ask for an apology in a printed form during his film, but he doesn't want to do that. He made sure to take a legal route, and he fought for his freedom of free speech, and he made sure to do that in a legal way. And here, when someone is going and calling someone as an elder and younger,
so there's no reason to apologize, Ms. Galrani. I believe you're back with us. Last 30 seconds before I wrap this up.
Not necessary at all, because
Sanjana Galrani?
As a brotherly
I think it's an unnecessary mess created, and I really feel bad for this situation. Can I talk?
Yes, please.
I really feel bad for this entire situation. I don't want the film to suffer. Being a film actor, my heart really lies where good films are, and I think Thug Life is going to be a good film. But whatever this publicity thing is happening, it's definitely going to be good for the film, provided it's not banned in Karnataka. Any kind of a publicity during the release of the film is good for the film. The more the publicity, the more it reaches out. But at the same time, it's completely unaccepted. You cannot compare two languages. It might be any language to any language, and please refrain from comparing any language to Kannada.
And it's interesting you say that.
I stand with all the Kannadigas.
And it's interesting you say that about publicity, because many would say this perhaps was just that, a publicity stunt right ahead of the film. But I have to leave it there. I thank you all for joining us here on this edition and sharing your perspective. We have some breaking news that's now coming in here on this edition of The Right Stand. These are first pictures of Prime Minister Modi meeting with the family of Shubham Dwivedi, victim of the April 22nd Pahalgam terror strike. Just a short while ago on the show, we got you voices from Shubham Dwivedi's family where they spoke about how this visit of the Prime Minister went. These are pictures that have now been put out. Payal joining us, getting us more details. Payal, it was a brief 10-minute visit that the Prime Minister paid to the family, but a meaningful one at that?
Well, absolutely. The Prime Minister's meeting the family, consoling them for this irreparable loss would have meant a lot. It would actually have put a lot of balm on the wounds of the family, given the fact that, it is not easy to lose your loved ones. And, Poonam, losing your loved ones right in front of your eyes, and Shivam had just been married a few days ago as well. So that trauma that his wife would go through would never end, for the rest of her life. It's easier said than done to build strength, etc. So the Prime Minister standing shoulder to shoulder with the families, expressing the support of his government, and it actually assured the people of the country. This morning also, when he was speaking in Bihar, he said, last time around I told the people of the country while I was in Bihar, saying that I will seek revenge. And here I am back only after having sought revenge from Pakistan. So obviously, like I said, on one front, it is of course very good for India to know that, revenge has been taken for all those, people who actually lost their loved ones in that ghastly Pahalgam attack. But the fact of the matter still remains that these are the losses that are going to be felt by the families each and every day. So any amount of, sympathizing with the family, expressing condolences won't be enough, Poonam.
Right, Payal, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. These pictures that you see on your screens have just been put out of the visit that the Prime Minister had in Kanpur earlier today, where he was in Uttar Pradesh. He was inaugurating several infrastructure works as well. But the first stop that he made when he landed in Kanpur was to pay a visit to Shubham Dwivedi's family. Remember, he was one of the 26 innocent civilians, tourists who were in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir that were segregated first based on their gender and then based on their religion and shot by Pak-backed terrorists in cold blood. Moving on now, India has recorded a GDP growth of 7.4% in the fourth quarter of FY25 against an estimate of 6.8%. This is what government data has now shown. For the full year, the GDP growth stood at 6.5%. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that India's sustained growth momentum as the fastest growing economy is coming in for the fourth consecutive year. India's economy expanded at a faster than expected annual rate of 7.4% in the quarter that ended in March, despite the mounting global economic uncertainty that is also being pushed forth by the kind of cloud that looms over tariffs from the United States. The print for the gross domestic product for the fourth quarter of the government's fiscal year 2025 came in sharply higher than the 6.7 growth forecast that was coming in from several ratings agencies and economists that marked the strongest quarterly growth of the fiscal year of 2025. India's economy expanded by 6.5% in the full fiscal 2025 year, in line with the government's February estimate. As per OECD reports, India's GDP numbers in quarter 4 stood at 7.4%, higher than all G7 countries. Canada recorded 0.4%, France recorded a mere minus 0.1%. Germany recorded minus 0.2, Italy recorded nothing, 0%, Japan recorded 0.7, while the United Kingdom recorded 0.2. United States recorded a 0.6% growth.
Yes, the GDP growth number is very satisfying. We did a poll and we were told that the fourth quarter economic growth will be about 6.85%. It has come at 7.4. Now, the GDP number also includes taxes, subsidies, etc. If you take all that out and only look at pure value added by the economy, you call it the GVA number. Now, that in the fourth quarter has grown at 6.8. Our poll said only 6.5. So, whichever way you cut it, this is a very good rate of growth, much better than what economists were prepared for. What fired within the overall economy in the fourth quarter? Agriculture has done very well, both in the fourth quarter and in the full year. For the fourth quarter, agriculture has grown by 5%, which is always satisfying because it employs the largest number of people. So growth is obviously better dispersed when it comes from the agri sector. The next best sector is the services sector. Construction has grown by 10.8%. I mean, that's a superb growth. Clearly shows government capex is good. Real estate is probably investing a lot, that comes under construction. So that again is an employment-oriented sector, and that helps that is growing very fast. Among other services sectors, finance, that's grown about 7%, 7.8%. Public administration, 8.7%. So all employment-heavy sectors have done well. That's satisfying. What's not fired is manufacturing. Grown only by 4.8% for all our effort of Make in India. That part is just not firing as much. There were some entrepreneurs, CEOs who come to our channel. On camera, they were very positive about their numbers, but off-cam people tell you that between states the competition is for unease of doing business, not ease for doing business. So they roundly believe that regulations are responsible. Be that as it may, the bottom line is that manufacturing is the only sore point in the composition of the GVA or the economy. You can also look at the GDP from the expenditure side. Did you spend it? Did you consume? Did you invest? If you look at it from that angle, then consumption is kind of slightly slower compared to investment. Capital formation has grown at 9.4% in the fourth quarter, which means a lot of money was invested, or the rate at which we were investing is continuing to charge higher. Consumption has grown at 6%. Now, you can crib a little bit about it. Rural consumption has done well. Most of the FMCG companies tell you that, but urban consumption is stalling. So one would, if you want to look at places where we can improve, it would be urban consumption not doing as well. Be that as it may, the overall growth for the full year, FY 24-25, it has come in at 6.5%. Our poll had said it would be only 6.3, so that's a very good number. Even the third quarter number has been bumped up, revised higher. So all told, a 6.5% growth is very good at a time when globally there are a lot of headwinds gathering. Do you therefore expect the current year also to be very good? Most people are not that confident. In spite of the good fourth quarter, the fear is that there are global headwinds in the current year because of the tariff wars. And therefore, the average I'm getting is 6.3 for the current year. Let's see if we are in for a pleasant surprise for this year as well.
"88 hours of justice delivered.
9 terrorist camps were targeted and successfully destroyed.
Winged furies that broke the back of terror. A cold message that India would take it no more. Watch the most definitive account of Operation Sindoor as it unfolded, as India changed the face of war that brought Pakistan to its knees.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ये सिर्फ नाम नहीं है.
Inside Operation Sindoor, 88 hours that redefined India. Co-presented by... This is News 18 Network. India's India's largest news network.
उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री श्रीमान योगी आदित्यनाथ जी, केंद्रीय मंत्रिमंडल के मेरे साथी, यहां उप मुख्यमंत्री केशव प्रसाद मौर्य और श्री ब्रिजेश पाठक जी, उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार में मंत्री, सांसद, विधायक और विशाल संख्या में पधारे हुए कानपुर के मेरे प्यारे भाई और बहनों, एक बच्ची शायद यहां कोई पेंटिंग बना करके जरा एसपीजी के लोग उसे ले ले। उधर भी कोई एक चित्र बना करके लाया है, उस कोने में आप अपना अता पता उस पर लिख देना, मैं चिट्ठी भेजूंगा। एक उधर कोने में कोई नौजवान है, उसका अता पता लिख लीजिए ताकि मैं आपको चिट्ठी लिखूंगा। ये इधर एक बालक कब से हाथ उठा रहा है, तेरे कंधे पर दर्द होगा आज, थक जाओगे। आज कानपुर का उत्साह बड़ा जोरों पर है भाई। उधर कोई जरा फोटोग्राफर उधर देखो, एसपीजी के लोग जरा उस बच्चे को मदद करो। भारत माता की, भारत माता की। कानपुर में विकास का एक कार्यक्रम 24 अप्रैल को होने वाला था, लेकिन पहलगाम हमले के कारण मुझे अपना कानपुर दौरा रद्द करना पड़ा। पहलगाम के कायरना आतंकी हमले में हमारे कानपुर के बेटे शुभम द्विवेदी ने भी इस बर्बरता का वो शिकार हुए। बेटी ऐशन्या की वो पीड़ा, वो कष्ट और भीतर का आक्रोश हम सब महसूस कर सकते हैं। हमारी बहनों बेटियों का वही आक्रोश ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के रूप में पूरी दुनिया ने देखा है। हमने पाकिस्तान में आतंकियों के ठिकाने घर में घुसकर सैकड़ों मील अंदर जाकर तबाह कर दिए। और हमारी सेना ने ऐसा पराक्रम किया कि पाकिस्तानी सेना को गिड़गिड़ाकर युद्ध रोकने की मांग करने पर मजबूर होना पड़ा। स्वतंत्रता संग्राम की इस धरती से सेना के शौर्य को बार बार सैल्यूट करता हूं। मैं फिर कहना चाहता हूं, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान जो दुश्मन गिड़गिड़ा रहा था वो किस देश के दुश्मनों ने भी देख लिया। जब सिंदूर बारूद बन जाता है तो नतीजा क्या होता है।
(2:30 a.m. May 10, 2025). A single phone call shatters the uneasy silence of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's residence in Islamabad. The army chief is on the line, his voice uncharacteristically grim. Janab, Chaklala has been hit.
नौ और 10 की दरमियानी रात में तकरीबन 2:30 बजे सिपा सलार जनरल सैयद आसिम मुनीर ने मुझे सिक्योर फोन पे मुझे बताया कि वज़ीर-ए-आज़म साहब, हिंदुस्तान ने अपने बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल अभी लॉन्च किए हैं, एक नूर खान एयरपोर्ट पे गिरा है और कुछ और दूसरे इलाकों में गिरे हैं।
Noor Khan Air Base, Pakistan's most prestigious air facility, was burning. Not just a symbolic strike, it was surgical and devastating. India had done what was unthinkable.
You know, it was building up. After the atrocity on 22nd April in Pahalgam, I think like everybody else, I was also sure that there will be an Indian reaction.
But the symbolic nature of hitting Noor Khan, and the second was Sargodha, while others are tactical operational bases, but these two are strategic bases, right? In terms of proximity to Rawalpindi,
that the bases have been struck with such precision and such across Pakistan in terms of numbers, in terms of geographical spread, and in terms of strategic importance of some of the bases. That is what was, game-changing.
Noor Khan Air Base, home to Pakistan's VIP transport fleet, intelligence assets and elite air units. For decades, this installation stood untouched, sheltered behind the red lines of nuclear deterrence. But Operation Sindoor has redefined those lines. What began as a bold strike on terror camps now looked unmistakably like a direct message to Rawalpindi.
Let me put this into perspective. For us, experienced anchors who have covered conflicts, this was uncharted territory. This was territory that really rewrote nuclear doctrine or the engagement between nuclear powers. It was rewritten because a message had been sent to a state sponsoring terror, a nuclear-tipped state, that we are not going to be held to by your nuclear blackmail. We were witnessing history as we were covering one of the biggest stories in a decade. Now, while speaking to a host of experts, it was becoming very clear to us, apparent, that India had pummeled Pakistan into submission.
It certainly caught the world by surprise, and they will have to take notice because it's been demonstrated on the ground that any act of terror will be treated as almost like an act of war, and that will be retaliated to. So this is now the new normal.
And West needs to particularly see this because they've been arming Pakistan and now China is arming them. So the world needs to take notice. If they are serious about terrorism, they need to take notice of epicenter of terrorism and take their action strongly.
Even the mightiest military in the world, when it has to carry out strike at 11 disparate, geographically separated areas, and thereafter carry out a hit which succeeds, has never happened before.
As the night of May 9th faded into the early hours of May 10th, something extraordinary happened. Something no military strategist in Islamabad had prepared for. Indian air power, relentless and unyielding, descended again.
I think when the strikes went on to the 11 airfields at the same time, that was one time their entire political military structure would have actually crumbled.
They tried their best. The lack of damage on our side is ample proof that how strong our air defense was, how well we were integrated in our overall capability to defend.
First came the wave that struck Noor Khan, but it didn't end there. Within hours, Pakistan's prized military infrastructure was under a coordinated aerial siege.